I got to replace that boom chain on the forklift. I'm kind of hoping I can do it without taking the boom out, but I'm not sure if I'll have the boom or the reach. Well, look, the boom is all the way in. The chain in question, let me go over here so we're not looking into the sun. The chain in question is attached to the back end of the intersection. I've got it hanging out here because I needed to get the fitting off the other end. So there's a shiv that goes right in this yoke right here, and where this chain attaches, let's see if we can look in there, is right there. You can see it. You can see the square, just a piece of 8x8, I think half wall tubing. I've got this little space here, and I've got this little space here to reach through to get in there, and so I'm going to reach that. That's a pin through the clevis that's welded to the underside of the innermost section. Might be able to. I brought home some long pliers. Chances of that being slim and none, but I'm going to try. If I can reach in there and get part of that out without taking out the boom, then it'll be a relatively quick thing today, but I'll give it a try first. All right, there is a slim chance I'm going to be able to reach in there. I just got one hand in there on the left side. I'm assuming I can get my right hand in there. If I take all the pliers in that I need, and maybe a little hammer, it might work, but I gotta relieve the tension on that chain. So I'm gonna take it apart at the link where it broke that I repaired on Saturday, I guess. Get that out of there. I have the fish tape fished through there, so I don't have to worry about pulling it back through once I hook the new one up. So I'm gonna try to get that off, and then we'll see where we're at. Okay, the next challenge is getting light in there, because once I reach through here and there, I need to be able to have light and to be able to see, and so we'll see if this little guy here does it for me. Put it there. Oh yeah, that'll work. Okay, I'll be able to see, but you won't. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, quick update. I've got the cotter pin out, and of the master pin, there's a cotter pin on each side of it. The pin is freely moving in the clevis on the boom, but it is hung up predictably in the 3 leaves of the chain that it goes through. That's a little bit more of a interference fit. If I can somehow get that out, what I will do is ream out the end of the new one so that I'll be able to slip it back in there. I got to be careful how much time I spend on this, because it's all time I could spend just pulling the thing out, but that's, a 5 or 6 hour endeavor probably by the time I'm done. So right now what I'm going to do is find a piece of material that I can fit through the hole, and then use to back up a pry bar to just get the chain moving. And if I can get it moving one link at a time, I can get it out of there. I don't have room to get much tooling in there. I got a small hammer in there, but there's not enough room to swing it with enough force to make a difference. So I'm gonna have to try to get the thing moving by wedging it out. I've oiled it up, so it's soaking right now, but I'll go fish around for some material and see if I can at least get it moving. Then I'll know my next step. All right, I'm just getting ready to move and set this thing up to pull the boom. There's no way that this attack is gonna work. I just tied a piece of mule tape onto that so I don't forget when I start sliding the boom out, but that will allow me to guide the new chain back in as I refeed the boom back in once I get it all hooked up. What we got here is the cylinder. There's a set of hoses on the other side that goes down. Gosh, where does it go? Oh, those hoses feed the front, so those are disconnected. There is a cylinder inside the boom, and it is connected to the back end of this section. The hoses in the back that I was working around feed the cylinder, or excuse me, the rod end of the cylinder, the rod eye, and it feeds the cylinder through that eye. So basically it pumps it through that rod into the cylinder. The cylinder pushes away from the perch, which is that pin back there, and shoves this thing out. When this thing comes out, there's a chain here that's connected to the back end of this. And as it shoves out away from it, it pulls on that. So I need to disconnect this to lay it on the boom so that I can slide the whole thing out. Because as soon as I start moving, it'll just ball up. I mean, I probably could leave it there, but, well, could I? No, I want it to travel with it. I got to take it off. So I'm going to do that. That ain't bad. I'll keep an eye on that. That should pop out when we come out. So I got the rope on the other end. I'll go get the other forklift. And I got this little excavation project going right here. Digging out my backyard finally. And I got more retaining wall to build around here and a little deal to put in there. New wall along here. Probably gonna replace that. So I got a place to put my sheet metal tools. I think I need to get on the spray this summer. All right, ideally this would have happened while the other machine was home because it would make pulling this out a lot easier, but what I'm going to do is strap two straps around that boom. That fluid was coming out because I was pressing on the tilt cylinder. It was just kind of puking out there. Let me strap that up, and that should be enough to hold it. I still don't know. I think there may not be a stop on that. I don't know. I don't want to find out the hard way that there's not, so we'll play it safe. I'm gonna rewatch that footage, see how hard that was pulling on that. There might be a boom stop in there. Gotta figure it out. Okay, there is. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna back that truck up a little bit, and so it has a little room to swing, and then I'm gonna extend that middle section out because I can see the boom stop right there. Actually, I don't need to back that truck up because that will come out. It should slide over that boom, and then I'll be able to basically cover it again, and then I can go back that up once it's out. Let me get a bucket under that and get some wrenches. Okay, just inside there, there's two parallel blocks that they're probably 2 inches wide by 2 inches tall by 4 inches long. There's two 3/4 bolts through the boom into them. So hopefully now that they're released, they'll come sliding out. There must be a boom, there must be something welded on the back of the innermost section that hooks those. So I'll back up a little bit and see if they move. Maybe I should reach in there with a bar and see if they even wiggle before I go pulling on it again. That pulley that's right there has a keeper pin in the pin that's a 3/8 bolt. So there's a nut hanging down into that boom space, and I got to pull that out or that block won't get shoved out by the back of the boom. So I got to pull that off. Give me another minute here. Get a couple wrenches. See the comments already. How to replace the return chain on an extended boom forklift. Step 1, have 2 other forklifts. Still got a little tension on that. I don't know what's going on. Looks like there's a rat's nest up there though. All right, let's see what we got. Anybody home? What do we got here? Moss. Yeah, bunch of garbage. So there is something clearly there stopping it. I'm not sure what yet. I've got everything hanging free. It's hanging unbound. You could see with force how easily it slid out to where it stopped. So it wasn't like a slow progression of pinch. It just went out and stopped. There's something there. We try to put like a little slip strip in there up and over it. I'm gonna try, take one more look, clean a little bit more up, clean a little more grease off, maybe shoot some brake cleaner in there, get a better look at things, see if I'm missing something. It's not connected. I can see the shoe on the end of the ram that's supposed to go inside that section. I'm past that. I don't see any inspection holes where I could remove something off of the inner boom earlier in the job. Sometimes it's an order of operations. I'm still stumped, but I'll get it. I believe what has happened is there's a set of wear pads on top of the very innermost boom, and that's what's hanging up. You guys are all watching it come up tight on something. And I believe that they are held in place somehow by little plates on the back of them. There's an outside chance I can get it from where they're at, but I believe in the future and for replacement that they actually go back on when the boom is retracted. So to clarify that, I should have removed them when it was back here. I didn't realize it, but I can see little plates in there, and if I reach in, I can feel it up in there, so. Well, that's out. You're gonna be amazed at how much trouble that was for how little work it is to do what I need to do right there, but I'm gonna video it. All right, here's the new chain. It's been cut or opened with the inner links showing, and I need the outer links to be shown. So I need to carefully grind one of these pins off smooth, and then pop the pin out and expose I don't know if you can see it, but expose, even though this is an inner link, it still counts in the count as an outer link. So this would be 3 by 4 is how they would measure this BL style chain. So this is a 1-inch pitch here, so that's 1 inch center to center, and it's kind of a standard size, so it's 1, 2, 3 by 4 lacing. So I'm going to grind that off. I am gonna lean that out a little bit to clean that up so it goes together easier and comes back apart easier. All right, this is the pin that I was trying to work loose this morning, reaching in there. Oh man, well, it just wasn't any way to, I mean, of course I oiled it up too, so there just wasn't any way to get tension on that. That sure would have saved a lot of trouble. So there's that wear pad I got to get out of there. And there is that cylinder. I'm going to reach in there with a pry bar and see how much I can lift it up so that this piece just slips back in. I'm not sure what kind of luck I'm going to have, but hang on a second. Can't see the camera. So anyway, I got a block of wood down there. I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, it's under there. We're up about 1 3/8 inches. I had to stress that up a little bit, but it's close to the back. It'll push right out and travel to the other end, and it won't be a problem. Oh yeah. And even though this chain is pre-oiled and pre-lubed, I'm going to look for some tacky lube in the stash and or some spray chain lube just to give it as much chance as we can get. Looking like a little bit of squirrel nest mixed in with some grease to give you that longevity. After all that struggle, I deserve that. That's almost just about in, I'll show you. Got a little pressure on it. I should be able to wedge it right in there. Let's see what we got. Okay, I gotta go up with that. I'm gonna pull it all through. That is in. I'm gonna go pull that chain through. If I don't pull it through, it won't fish in there and be attached at the same time. It won't make the bend and go through the gap. I'm fairly certain of that. So what I'm going to do now, while it's out there, I'm going to pull it through, but then I'm going to have to burn this line back and try to pull it through, or at least take up the slack as I run it in, or call for help. But in any case, here we go. Alright, this is going to suck, but it's what we're doing. I'm going to get a ladder for here because it's heavy. Okay, what I think I did is this is the clevis for the other end of that chain, and I put that chain in vertically like this just because it was laid back onto the boom. And when it's not moving now when I tap it, I can barely reach it with the hammer. It's not moving. So what I thought I did was I captured the pin on the corner of that. I don't think I did. I think it's just tight because it kind of went in there tight. So I'm going to take a punch here and go see if I can push that around real quick. Otherwise, I got to pull that thing towards the back again. That's exactly what I did. This pin won't come around and clear that corner, so I got to pull it out, push it out, lay it down flat, stick it back in. Okay, got my other camera. The other one ran out of storage temporarily. We're started back in. I don't think I'm down to that block of wood yet, but I will be soon. I just took up the slack on the chain. I fixed the end of it, but that was the clip I lost, no big deal. But I'm ready to start moving it in. I think I could probably drop the straight mast out of there, so I will, and just start walking that other one in. Rewatch this clip to see if that boom moved on that last push. All right, I had to restart there. Fishing the chain through and taking the slack up on the rope was not going to work because the chain was so heavy. It's drooping down underneath the foot of that internal cylinder. So what I did was I doubled it back on the boom. I think there's room to just roll it over. So I'm taking up the slack now, and I'll be able to see it here in a minute and pull it the rest of the way out. All right, I'm gonna leave the doors open on this for a while. Hopefully the cat will get up in there and do a little work for me. Smells like there's some rodents living in there, as will happen out here. All right, that's stuffed in there. I think we're good. We gotta look around in there and fish that line going back the other way. So everything is mostly hooked up and ready to go back together. I may call it for the night. I don't know what time it is. Got a lot of tools out. A little after 6. Just about enough for the day. I think if I clean up most everything and hit it fresh in the morning, I don't know, we'll see. I'll get stuff put away. I'm gonna go put you on time lapse. Okay, here's the old shiv. 736D. Anyway, that one's done. But I took it to a local machine shop and they whipped this out for me right away. All right, so that is the center of that shiv. That's the shaft. It's got these big flats on it that are held down by these bars. What I'm gonna do, I thought, silly me, I was thinking, well, all I gotta do is just put a little plate here to capture it, but this thing goes in and out, so there'd be no way. I'd have to basically sleeve the entire boom, and that's not in the cards. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remake these. You can see the damage this one sustained when it got all chewed up. So I'll take these, and I'm gonna build them so that there's a hoop up over the top. I don't know if I'm gonna build it with a bolt-on piece. I believe I can build it, I think these are inch. I have a bunch of 1.5 inches. I even got some cold rolled, so half by, I think that's half. Yeah, half by inch. But I probably have some 1/2 by 1.5 inches. And as long as that clears everything, then I think it's gonna work, and I can just make like a little yoke. I might cut one out of plate, I don't know. I'll stick the wheel in here, the shiv in here, and make sure I can clear it with the chain in it, but that'll keep the chain in there. And then this mule tape here is to take the end of this forward, so I can hook it up back to the tension spring. I think I might have left myself a little bit of work. I'm pretty sure I can run this back in a little bit, but let's see. Those wear pads have to slip in there, so hopefully I can get that sucked in a little bit more. Otherwise I'm in for kind of a repeat of this afternoon. That way I don't have to work on it in the sun. One phone's sinking in the house, and the other one just went dead, so it's going to be limited footage from here on out. But basically all I have to do now is determine the length of that return chain that I replaced, cut it off, attach it to the adjuster bolt, and tension everything up, then grease it. Looks like I got a loose fitting. Hang on. That's just great. Okay, you can tell from that lag between the two sections there's a little bit of adjustment left to do, but I'll run them in and out a couple times. I'll grease it all up. I just got some running around to do. It is at least midday now, but that's just about it. I'll get it greased up and put the cage back on, and we should be good to go. My Milwaukee M18 grease gun is broken. It just kind of died a weird slow death. Haven't replaced it yet. I'm charging up my other system, so in the meantime I'm just going to go through all the partial grease guns I got and remember how it used to be like back before the battery ones. The Zerk works. It's a journal that's not taking grease. I've used this machine in the burn pile from time to time, and it probably cooked a lot of this out. Alright, I brought the torch out just to scare it. I didn't really want to have to use it. But we'll just try heating that up a little bit and see if we can get some lube in there, get it moving, and then we'll kind of pay attention to it a little bit at a time for a while. Acetone's flammable. That's old grease. That's new grease. Right now it's coming new. It's not totally fixed, but it's back. All right. There's a little more greasing to do, but I feel like it's threatening to rain and I got to get a trench dug and off the clay before I can't. If I get that done over there, then I can maybe work on this a little more. But all right, we're good to go. Can't think of anything else to say about it. Been a great machine. Could use a little more love. I'll give it to it as I get time, but a lot of times that's just the way these things go. Fix them when they're broken finally.